The big wheels keep on turning. I'm LuAnn and welcome to Monster Wars. This is your weekly chance to experience the thrills, chills, and spills of monster truck mega action. There was plenty of that last week in an out-of-control battle in the Houston Astrodome. Invader put on a wild show for the fans, but an energized Equalizer just kept going and going and going to win the finals. So here's our Monster Point standings thus far this season. Gravedigger stays in first place, with Equalizer coming on strong thanks to his victory last week. Barefoot rounds out our top three, but Taurus is just one Monster Point behind. Any one of those trucks can grab first place by the end of today's competition. Now you can see how the remaining trucks line up in the season tally. Let's get right to the action. Jim Davidson standing by for a preview of today's Monster Mayhem.
There's a feeling in the air tonight, and I can't quite put my finger on it. So what do? I go back into the pits and I start talking it over with the drivers, and they all seem to agree that Jacksonville is going to provide some high-flying monster warfare. So when the trucks go airborne, I'll be right here in the pits bringing you all the ups and downs of today's racing action. Speaking of racing action, when it comes to straight-line courses, the higher they fly, the harder they're going to fall, and tonight promises to be no exception to that rule. So let's go to a guy who's always flying straight and telling it just like it is, our very own Joe Lowe.
Jim, this was a scene just moments ago, qualifying for the Gravedigger as he goes up the ramp and gets lots of air. He's so high that if he gets much higher, the FAA is going to have to be contacted so he can get permission to land. The crowd is just ecstatic, and they're ready to see more high-flying excitement from the monsters. Let's take a look at this very, very tough drag-style track, side by side, as we look at the Goodyear track facts on the starting line. They will have to maneuver a hill and then over two cars, then down as quickly as possible for the straightaway and the entrance to this, the last set of cars. They need to get up in the air. They may be able to fly way beyond the finish line right here. The first one over the finish line, you got it. That's the winner. We prepare for race number 1. Kodiak will face Equalizer. Kodiak is driven by Mark Bendler. He qualified 8th, the time 3.89 seconds. Now, Equalizer and David Morris qualified 3rd with 3.52. You can see there's not much of a gap between these trucks in qualifying. Bendler takes Kodiak up to the starting line to stage for race number 1. All systems are go. He looks over at the competition. Last week's winner, Equalizer. And the question is, can Equalizer be our first two-time winner back-to-back on Monster Wars?
I'm getting a bit hot under the collar. And when we ignite in the next race, Kodiak, you're going back, way back to the backwoods where you belong.
Kodiak has been struggling on this very young season. He's had nothing but power problems, and the question is, has he fixed them?
The last two shows, we had problems kicking the front drive shaft loose. We went back, we redesigned a completely new shaft and put that in. It seems to be working well. We're getting a little harder on the throttle each time, and now we're going to go for it.
The trucks are staged. The U.S. Hot Rod official waits to give them the green light. Thumbs up from both drivers. We are ready. Bendler gets a whole shot, but Equalizer comes from behind. Kodiak had the whole shot, but Equalizer had the power, came from behind and won it. Equalizer takes our first win in Jacksonville. Equalizer took it easy off that first set of cars, and then it was airborne as he sails across the finish line. Kodiak had the great start, and it was almost as if he backed out of it right here. This is where Equalizer catches him in the air. They're already staging for our second race of the day. This matchup between Barefoot and First Blood.
There's only one thing I like more than fresh blood, and that's fresh bear meat. Barefoot, when our paths cross, you're gonna want to tiptoe out of the race. 'Cause when I get through with you, you're gonna be red with envy. And the only footsteps you're gonna follow are the ones to your grave.
We are back in Jacksonville. They're lined up for race number 2 of round number 1. First Blood, Rob Fuchs doing the piloting aboard the 7th qualifying First Blood. And the world champion Barefoot is driven by Fred Schaefer. He qualified 2nd. First Blood, the big Ford, edges up to the starting line as the U.S. Hot Rod officials bring him up. He is just about staged. And the world champion Barefoot eyeballs the competition. Fred Schaefer wants to check out all the safety systems to make sure everything is all right. Let's check the inside of the truck. He looks like he's ready. The green light will signify the go. There they go! First Blood and Barefoot opens up the lead. Barefoot takes out First Blood. The world champion Barefoot does it again. He waves to the crowd. And this is how it happened. Side by side, Barefoot turns it on and opens up the lead. This truck not only has the power, it has the incredible suspension needed for a course like this. A lot of hills, but he smooths it out quickly. Our next matchup will feature the Carolina Crusher and the Gravedigger. Dennis Anderson pilots the Gravedigger, one of the most feared monster trucks in the world today. How did they do in qualifying? Carolina Crusher qualified a very respectable 6th. The time, 3.69 seconds. Gravedigger was our fastest qualifier with 3.46 seconds. You saw that Gravedigger qualifying run earlier. And the question is, what is Dennis Anderson going to do in his strategy against the Crusher?
Well, I'll tell you, Gary's running really good. The track is really kind of a choppy track here. I'm not really too certain. You know, I qualified really well, but I feel like the left lane's the best lane. I'm going to put him in the right lane. I'm going to take the left lane, so maybe I have a little advantage on him, and I think I can pull it off.
Is that strategy going to work? We'll know just seconds from now. Green light, there they go. Over the first set to the second and the finish line. Who won it? Who won it? Was it Digger or was it Crusher? They both appear to go over the finish line at exactly the same time. Side by side in the air. In the air. And I've just gotten word it is a tie. In all my years of racing, I've never seen this. A tie, and we're headed for a monster face-off. A monster face-off between the Gravedigger and the Carolina Crusher.